we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sacred She Soul Sessions. Today, I am blessed to be joined with the beautiful Catie, and we are going to be sharing a little bit of her story, her journey, and some tips that she's learned along the way. She is a warrior of chronic pain and illness. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's an entrepreneur. Super badass sister. So I'm really excited to have her here today. So welcome, Catie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And like I said, I'm so nervous.
I'm so excited to have you here. We're going to have lots of fun. And as everyone pops on here, if you're wondering, I've got my phone here so that way I can see everyone's live comments. So if you pop on, if you have questions, thoughts, things you want us to talk about, just pop it in the comments. And if you're catching this on the replay, hello. If you're listening to it on our podcast or on the YouTube, hello to you as well. Feel free to comment. We're excited to connect with everyone on here, and I know there's going to be a lot of value shared today. So we'll jump right into things. And Catie, why don't we start and get you to talk a little bit about who you are, where do you live, what do you like to do?
Okay, well, I'm Catie. I'm 26. I just turned 26, and I live in Savannah, Georgia. Basically, I have transformed myself into what I feel is like an entirely different person this year, and that's pretty much been what I have done this entire year. Like, that's my hobby, is developing myself further, and it's been incredible. It really has, and I never thought that I could ever do the things that I wanted to do my entire life. I never thought that I was capable of, really making my life what I want it to be, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it all. Everything that I can think of that I really wanted to do and that I've ever wanted to, I got this. It's time to make it happen. That's pretty much what every aspect of my life has been about for the past year, and it's been truly incredible.
So why don't we start from there with what led you to feeling that way, feeling empowered that you can go after all of this?
It probably started truthfully in 2010 when I was diagnosed with my syndromes. I have what are called the invisible illnesses. It's dysautonomia and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So if you ever hear anyone talk about POTS as something other than what you use in your kitchen, that's what I have. And I went from a healthy, active 17-year-old to waking up one morning and my entire life felt like it had been ripped out from under me. I couldn't dance like I had used to. I was a collegiate dancer. I could barely even walk up and down my stairs in my house. All I wanted to do was sleep. I felt terrible, and I just couldn't understand what had happened. And it was one of those things where you don't think that something like that's ever going to happen to you. It really was. And I spent up until the beginning of this year trying to ignore the fact that my body was truly working against me and it didn't function like a normal person, especially not the average college kid. And I struggled with that very, very much so. I struggled a lot with feeling a sense of normalcy and getting to a point where you lose every aspect of yourself that you have. And as a teenager, that's something that we struggle with anyway. And to have this tossed upon me for no reason, I spent years and years and years trying to just figure out why this has happened to me. Why do I even have to endure this? Why can't I be like a normal person? Why can't I get up and walk across my living room? Why can't I go outside and play with my little girl for hours? And why? And I got to a point earlier this year where asking myself why constantly wasn't working either. It wasn't giving me any sense of coping or a relief. It was just digging me deeper and deeper and deeper. And depression is something that I have always struggled with. I even more so before I was diagnosed. But after being diagnosed, all of these repetitive thoughts and not knowing what was going to happen to me, if I was ever going to feel better, if I was going to be cured, if I would even find a doctor that really knew about it or knew what they were talking about. I just buried myself within my own soul, and that's where I sat, and I just stirred, and I sat in turmoil and chaos. And if things got a little bit better, it scared me. It terrified me, because what if things got better and then it was all taken away again? And sitting in that area of such a dark place and sadness, and having a little girl and a husband who's transforming himself and creating the life and the career that he wants, not just for us, but for himself, I couldn't understand why I was feeling so badly. Even with chronic pain, the emotional aspect of all this has been even more painful than the physical pain. And I didn't want to wake up anymore and look at my little girl and have her just sit there and wonder, like, what's wrong with mommy? Like, why doesn't she just keep going? Why doesn't she do something different? Like, I couldn't do it anymore. So that's when I finally decided that maybe it was time to try something different, because for 7 years, what I was doing wasn't doing me any good. And I knew, and I could feel so strongly, and I could feel it in my gut that I wasn't meant to have this life, but I was forcing myself to have it. I was forcing myself to be miserable. And I remember a distinct conversation with my husband in January of this year, and I just kept telling him, like, I'm so sad, like, I don't know what's wrong with me, and I know that I'm sick, I guess, like, I don't feel well a lot of times, and my version of well is drastically different than the average, but I was like, I just can't figure out why I'm so sad, like, why can't I just man up and deal with it? And he just kind of looked at me, and he's a man of very few words, but he just kind of looked at me and said, well, do something about it. And of course, at the time, I was like, well, that's comforting, thank you so much. But it's something that was profoundly impactful on my journey. That's when I started to understand that my life is an actual journey. It's not just something that I'm meant to aimlessly sleep my life through, or just go to bed one day and hope that I feel fabulous the next day, when I've done nothing to ensure that for my body, much less my mind.
Well, I think it's so common for people, for women, men too, to feel like they have to just kind of accept that struggle and hope for it to get better.
Yes.
And we're in a masculine society where people are expected to kind of man up and to deal with it and not really talk about it, and definitely look to like spirituality or personal development and those sorts of things. It's more so just to move on and step forward, but it's not quite that easy.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And I'm so glad you said that, especially about talking about it, because in going through all this, I did years of behavioral therapy. And I've learned how to really break down my thought processes to the core root of a problem. But what I did was I managed to learn how to do that so well that I couldn't stop thinking about them. I couldn't stop thinking about my problems. All I could think about was one more aspect that I had figured out, but it still wasn't getting me any place different. And I had literally, in January of this year, this is the catalyst of personal development for me. In January of this year, I had just finished real estate school, and I was so excited. I knew that was the career for me. I knew that's what I was meant to do. I wanted to take families just like mine into their first house and to see their eyes light up and say, this is my home. I wanted to do that for other people. And I knew that was what I was meant to do. I could feel it. And I didn't think about my health when I thought about the aspects of a career in real estate. All I thought about was, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I just finished real estate school, and I had one of my checkups with my endocrinologist, and I told him about it, and he said, well, he was checking my blood pressure, and I was doing my usual test, and my blood pressures weren't holding out as well as they should, and that was just theory in that fact, but he said, I know this is something that you really want to do, but I don't want you to feel like I'm kind of like killing your dreams of your career, but I really think that with the way that your health is going and you're not leaning towards any form of remission or even being able to stand for a couple of minutes and hold your blood pressure, that maybe it's not something that you really should dive into just yet. Or maybe, you know, if you want to bring in some money or an income, I know you want to be a provider, maybe you can consider disability. And I just sat. I just sat and looked at him. And I don't think I said more than 5 words the rest of my appointment. And I remember getting in my car just thinking, like, I'm 25 years old. And I have so many big goals and dreams. And I want to make a difference in this world. Like, that, I just want to do something really impactful. I want to help people, not just myself. I want to help people. And I couldn't do that sitting at home in my sorrows on disability. And I couldn't be the provider that I wanted to be for my little girl on disability. To me, it was a form of giving up, which is ironic because I've given up my entire life on things. I've never been one to actually follow through with something and stick with it. And I was coming to this point where I knew that I couldn't do the same things that I'd always done anymore, and I couldn't just give up.
Yeah.
So that's when one of life's many wonderful synchronicities just hit me out of nowhere, and I discovered network marketing. And being the skeptic that I am, the company that I was with prior to the one I am now, I did every bit of research that I possibly could to prove why it was a terrible idea to do this. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's just taboo. Like, I don't want to. No, everybody hates people in network marketing. I just can't do that. They're not really gonna look at it. And I was astounded at how inaccurate I was. I mean, I was terribly inaccurate. So I couldn't find anything that, you know, just said, no, Catie, don't do it. And I just figured, you know what? Well, it's an option. Give it a try. So I did, and I joined this company, and one of my first couple of days of leadership, my leader, he asked me, well, do you do personal development? And just sitting here thinking, like, I don't know what that is. Like, I have no idea. I don't think my sister knows what this is. Like, I know that I'm new to this, but did I miss something when I was reading? Like, I had no idea what it was, so I actually Googled it, and I saw just the basic definition, and I remember the last phrase that talked about how it's activities that are meant to really bring out your true inspirations and your dreams, and it's something that's meant to bring you closer to a higher sense of self, to where you can actually accomplish those things. And when I read that sentence, I was like, where have I been? I just lost in my little sorrow land. And I was just like, oh my God, this is fantastic. So, of course, the first thing I did was I went to Pinterest and I just searched personal development. And that is literally where my entire life, I feel like, really started.
I love that.
I mean, I sat for hours, and I still do. I sat for hours, and I just was so intrigued by how many different things I saw, and it was things that were things that people had told me for years, and they just all made sense. And since then, every single thing that has happened to me, whether it's been difficult or whether it's been just a blessing, and I knew that from the very beginning, it has been fantastic. I feel like every single day I learn something new about myself. And I think my favorite part about personal development is that it taught me that we were not meant to stop growing as people. We were meant to keep evolving. We were meant to keep going, move forward.
Yeah, the magic, it really doesn't happen when we're stagnant.
Exactly. And I was a lily pad most of my life, just hanging out in the pond. And I think that one of the things about personal development that has really taught me about life in general and really made me feel capable is that I'm learning that I have the ability within me, just like we all do, from the day we're born. It's not something that one person is just, the circumstances are different, so they have an advantage, or one person has a disadvantage. It's the same choice that we all have. It's the same ability. And I didn't want to waste those anymore.
Yeah, I think sometimes for people, we look to someone else and we see what they're doing, and we feel like it's a different reality from us, and that we're not capable. But what I've really learned on my journey too is that we're all equal in that sense. We all have that same opportunity. It's just who has become open to actually taking that action, because that's the big thing, is that there's action needed to happen there. And a lot of people, I don't think it's a sense of laziness even. It's just a lack of knowledge, and a lot of the time a lack of belief and self-worth that we're actually worthy of that. Or like you said, it's discovering Pinterest and discovering that entire idea. That's what I think is very, very cool about network marketing, and I'm a huge believer in it as well. It can be done really well. It can be done really awful.
Right.
But the really cool thing about it, though, is that it does introduce people to personal development. And that was the very same for me. It was, we go to university for years, or post-secondary. We go to school to learn something, and a lot of the time we're not that passionate about it.
Right.
Or we learn a bunch of things that aren't applicable to what we end up doing in our career. And that's not to say that for some people they don't love what they're doing, but for a lot of people, they take a bunch of schools to fulfill their degree or whatever, and then a lot of those courses, I know for me, like, weren't applicable to what I'm doing at all.
Agreed.
But the cool thing about network marketing is, it might take you 5 years to make 6 figures or $1 million earner, but I mean, some people might work 40 years in their career and never get to that level of earning, but they're not learning. Like, you get paid to learn, essentially, with network marketing, because it's your own personal development that keeps growing and growing and growing, and as you grow, so does your income. Exactly. So I think that's a very, very cool concept, and why when people do really see that, they get really into it. When we look past the idea of it being a pyramid scheme or some of the concepts that are out there, and that's, where it can be done really badly, where someone adds you off Facebook, you never talk to them, and then they send you a link to their website and you don't know them. It's really focusing on that networking side of things, and that connecting and the providing value, which the more we learn, the more value that we can provide, which I think is so cool.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And the more people that I come in contact with network marketing, the more I see how much of society is based on pure fear. And the more I realize of how afraid I was of my life, my entire life, not just before I was diagnosed, my entire life. I was afraid to do anything, especially if I wasn't already told to do it, or it wasn't a part of the plan that my parents had for me growing up. If it was anything out of the norm, I just would not do it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations, like I said before, like, where I was trying to do something different, but I was doing the same actions over and over and over. My actions weren't working, if I was even making any with the situation. And that's when I first started network marketing, I was so discouraged at first by all of the people, even the ones close to me, that were like, I cannot believe you can do that. I cannot, do you really think that it's going to be what you think it is? And, I'm really happy for you. That's great, but I'll see you when you fall on your ass. It's so discouraging. And the more I get into it, and the more I grow, and the more comfortable I am with myself, the more I know that it's okay that they said that, and it's okay that I felt that negativity, because I'm okay, and I am strong and solid enough as a human being to not let it dictate my positive strides. And that's a huge thing that I try to instill in my team, is that, you're going to get discouraged. It happens. It's normal. It's okay. But you have the choice. You have the ability to say, okay, I don't want to be discouraged. I'm going to keep going. And it's almost as if I'm learning that the most difficult situations in my life, the answer is the easiest way out. Everybody wants to take the easy way out. They want to do what is the most simplest form of doing something. And it's just, to me, it's phenomenal that the easy way out is the way of actual personal growth, not just quitting. And it's something that I've really found a love for in leadership and teaching my team, is that they can choose anything that they want in their life. They can't choose how you feel. I understand that, but you can choose how you act with those feelings. You can choose how do you channel them. And that's something that I wish I would have embraced years and years and years ago. but it's okay. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be embraced then, and it is now, because now I'm coming into my purpose and my passion in life. I never thought that I would be in network marketing. I used to make fun of people in network marketing, like a champ, like all the time. I was that person. I was that hater. I will admit it. And all I can say is I apologize for my words back then because I had no idea what I was talking about. But it is really a blessing for me. It's something that it's not only giving me the career that I want, it's leading me into entrepreneurship and into other aspects of my career that I want to pursue. And I don't have to wait around financially to do that. I'm able to go ahead and pursue those. I have the time to pursue those. That's one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand, is that it's not about the money. It is, but it's not all about the money. The money can be fantastic if you work hard enough for it, which I'm willing to do, but that's not my strict purpose, my full goal. My full goal is to enjoy my life and my time with my family, especially my daughter, and really enjoy her. You know what I mean? I want to enjoy her fully and wholeheartedly without having to worry in the back of my mind, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay that bill? Because I feel like even if she doesn't understand that or she doesn't know about it, and even if it's not just wildly detrimental, it's still a thought that I would be taking away from focus with her. I want her to have my full being to enjoy her and love her and grow with her.
Absolutely. And so many parents get stuck in that struggle where, of course, they love their kids, but they're working, but they're coming home and they're so burnt out, and they're working because they want to provide for their family, but they're not able to really be present with their family, which I think is a really cool part of entrepreneurship. And that's whether it's network marketing, whether that's traditional entrepreneurship, like whatever that looks like for someone.
Right.
But even if that's your side hustle, but when people are feeling empowered to improve their own reality and take a little bit of control around that and put the work in, it really does pay off in regards to how much time you can spend with your family and what kinds of things can you do, and are you able to be present with them and actually see them and grow with them as they grow up, and not only be present financially supporting that they're having a good life, but be able to spend the time with them as they grow up as well.
Absolutely, I agree, and that's my goal. It's a freedom of time, and my journey might change. That's the beauty of it. It might completely veer out of network marketing. I mean, I hope it doesn't, and that's because I truly love it. I love the companies I'm with, and I love my team and my leadership. It's something that I will forever be thankful for. And it's a community of people that are empowering, and it's full of integrity. And I mean, but I don't know. I can't predict the future. I just know that whatever happens, it will be okay. And when I started network marketing, I mean, I was a ride or die for this company. I loved it. I loved every aspect of it. And when I came to the point where I still loved the company, but it just wasn't where my heart was leading me.
Yeah.
I felt so lost and discouraged, and I felt like I'd spent months and months of this major year in my life, to me, the first year of my life, really, that I just felt like, what do I do now? Like, okay, well, I mean, it was working, but it wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. And truthfully, it became something where, I was that parent that was spending every single second away from their child trying to work, but it still wasn't profitable enough as I needed it to be to really provide the way that I needed to. And it wasn't a sense of financial stability and security that my family needed. Yeah. And I was able to do that, but it wasn't necessarily efforts on my part that controlled the stability aspect, which is understandable. That's how business works. But the discouragement was just terrible. And that's the part that I don't think people understand, is that it doesn't matter how many times you get discouraged. It matters how many times you get back up and keep going.
Absolutely. And it sounds like that's been a huge tip that you've learned on your journey of overcoming obstacles, which is detaching from the outcome. Yeah. That's definitely something I'm hearing in your message when you're speaking is, you don't know what you're going to end up doing tomorrow, but you know what you're doing today, and you're taking the action to keep going with it.
Exactly.
Obstacles are thrown your way, which have been quite a few.
Yes. Yes, it has. And I wish that every single person on this earth could, especially if they're similar to my story, or even if they're not, just somebody who feels like they're struggling and they're alone and they can't figure out where they're supposed to go in life. And even if they have bodies like mine that completely try to dictate everything, it's not about control. It's about just being and living. And it's not about just breathing and trying to make it. It's about enjoying yourself and enjoying life. And it's like you said earlier, a lot of that comes from so many people's lack of self-worth. And that's something that I definitely had a major issue with. And most of my life, I just felt entirely worthless, and I couldn't figure out why. And part of personal development is really trying to provide a sense of self-care and understanding that in order to truly love your life and embrace it, you have to love yourself first. And I remember my therapist, she told me that so many times that I just kept thinking, like, this is so cliche. Like, of course I love myself. I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
But I said it in that tone, in that pessimistic tone. And I just felt like, okay, yeah, I'm great. That's wonderful. Yes, I love myself. Of course I love myself. But it wasn't until I truly understood that your future isn't a destination or a point of ending or just a part of a goal that's going to stop and you've made it, that it's continuing. It's never going to stop. It's something that's going to keep growing. It's something that's going to keep changing. And releasing that control is a huge aspect in being able to accomplish anything that I want to do. And anyone who's ever known me will tell you, like, she's bossy. You have got to do things her way. Like, you just got to do it or she's going to rage. Like, she has to be in control. And I totally understand now why for so many years they said that. Because, I mean, I never felt like I was trying to be controlling. I felt like I just wanted to help. I wanted to guide. And understanding that I have to release that control to live my own life and to enjoy myself as a human is incredible. I never thought that I would ever want to let go of more control. But it's something that I still struggle with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure I'm still a little bossy. I try not to be. But I understand that my difference in the world had to be made by making a difference to myself first.
Absolutely. And that's one of the hugest things I've learned on my journey. And I've been a little bit of a control freak as well. Not so much of other people, but really being tied to the outcome and controlling what is going to happen next. And as I realized that we really can't control that, we can put some thought into what we'd like to see happen, but ultimately we really don't know what's going to happen. So the more energy we put into the now, the better it is going to make that future destination, rather than just being in anxiety, thinking about what could happen in the future and what could go wrong, and really just thinking about the fact that there's equal possibility of things going right, just as much as there is of things going wrong.
Right.
And I'm curious for you, because I know you do get a lot of chronic pain and you're battling a lot in this area. So since you've had these kind of realizations and things have kind of been a catalyst for you, how have things been with your pain? Not necessarily in the sense of, like, has it been cured because of personal development, but how has it helped you with dealing with that pain and being able to look forward and look to the positive side of things?
It has, honestly, it's something that for the most of the year I still had a very difficult time with. It truly wasn't until I joined my recent company and I started really enjoying my work a little more and reaching out more so to people that were just like-minded, like you guys. Like, I never thought that I would get to sit here and talk with someone who believed in the things that I believed in and really wanted to hear what I had to say. And until then, it was something to where I worked myself constantly. I had to go by my plan. I had to go by my schedule. And I was constantly asking more questions. I'm a very, very green personality, so I'm very detail-oriented. I want the facts. I want them all, and I have to know it all. And I'm learning now that it doesn't matter how many facts I have. It doesn't matter how many days I spend researching on my health, because it's something that it's a rarity. It's not common. Most people have never even heard of them. And it's really not something that has a lot of research on. And yeah. I just felt like every time I would get sick, which would be completely at random, even it didn't matter if I was doing everything that I needed to do every day, I could still get sick. And it wasn't until I understood that I cannot control that at times that I had, okay, I'm trying not to get choked up. But it wasn't until I understood that I had to release that area of control and that it didn't have to be the most negative thing that had ever happened to me and continue to be, that I started actually feeling physically better. And the word mindset is something that is huge to me. Because I never really paid much attention to it. I'd seen it, here and there before I started really doing personal development. But mindset is something that can change your life mentally and physically. And it's something that so many people are afraid of or they don't want to truly dig into. And I just can't understand why, because it can do so much to your life, even physically, even to someone who is chronically ill. And actually in the past month, I had 15 sick days. And for me, a sick day is I can be perfectly fine one day, and the next morning I wake up and my blood pressures won't hold out, so I'm a lot weaker, or I'm in physical pain, and sometimes I've had situations where I couldn't even see the text message because my hands hurt, and I can't do anything pretty much but sleep, and I will sleep for days on end, and I don't know when it's going to get any better. I just have to kind of roll with it.
I know.
And that's when I started to really combine the two things of my POTS and my personal development and try to figure out, like, okay, well, there's no cure for this. We have no idea how people get this. We have no idea even how to truly treat it where it's beneficial. Every single case of our POTS is different. And there's so many questions that it's just like you said, the only thing that I had left was action.
Yeah.
All I could do was try to combine my mindset and push that more towards my physical aspects of my life and think like, okay, well, what can I do if I am sick? I have to let my body rest. And I try to keep going because I've always had a huge sense of feeling lazy. So I tried to counteract that by just pushing myself. And I'd always done that since I was diagnosed. And that's when I started to really embrace the fact that I have to rest.
Yes.
I felt okay resting. I didn't feel like I was being lazy. I felt like, okay, it's a downtime. I just need to rest and let my body be fine, and then I'll get back at it. And that's a huge aspect, honestly. And I've had 2 other sick days in this past month, and it's to me, it's phenomenal because a spell for me is normally anywhere between 3 or 5 days or so, and then I start really getting back on my feet. Both times that I've had days that I felt really, really bad in the past month, they only lasted about a day, which to me is huge. It's incredible. I mean, to go from literally sleeping for days on end to having one day and it's like, okay, this is fine. All I had to do was let myself be and just embrace the fact that I am what I am. My body is what it is. And
so often we can't honor where we're at, and there's so much guilt. Like there's guilt around what we eat. There's guilt if we honor ourselves in the fact that we need rest. There's always guilt involved that you have to wonder how much more negativity that's attracting into our lives. Like I would coach people that see when they eat something and they feel really, really guilty about it, that's actually more harmful than actually the food that they just ate.
yes,
So same kind of thing where when we have just a really negative, kind of shitty mindset and we're feeling really, really bad, and then, okay, now we're guilty because we need to rest, and now we haven't taken enough action. I feel like if we can honor ourselves on those days and really, truly take the rest that our body is asking us to take, that on the days where we are truly feeling better, that we do take that inspired action and you put those things together. And it really sounds like in your case, it has improved for you. Your sick days are becoming a little bit less extreme or a little bit less long than what they were when you were feeling more of that kind of victim mindset and being the why and what can I do and why is this happening to me, as opposed to feeling a little bit more empowered and really just honoring and connecting with yourself and what you really need, because our bodies are always trying to give us a message, is something I've learned, and it sounds like yours has been giving you the message to rest, and maybe before you weren't fully resting the way it was asking you to, and to be at peace with that state as well.
It is so funny that you said that. A friend of mine actually, in one of my last statements, she was kind of trying to give me a pep talk and made me feel a lot better, and I kept explaining, like, nobody really knows to a true physiological sense why people who have these syndromes have chronic pain. It's just unexplainable. I mean, it's kind of like a fibromyalgia aspect. And
yeah,
being such a in-depth person, I'm like, why? Like, why do I have this pain? It doesn't make any sense. And she actually explained to me that it doesn't matter why. It's just, all that matters is that my body is trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
It's trying to tell me, like, okay, this is what you need. And if it has to be through physical pain, because maybe I pushed myself a little hard previous days, then I have to learn from that, and it helps me. And I think one of the coolest parts about, I never thought I would say this, one of the coolest parts about having these syndromes is that I'm not as alone as I made myself be, actually. I felt so alone, but I made myself be alone, you know? I mean, I've met so many people in the past couple of months that they struggle with this too. And it's just about taking action and going out there and finding other people who need the help just as much as you do, and helping each other. And seeking for help and accepting help is a huge part of personal development. It's not all about just gathering all this strength and knowing that you can do anything and you're going to do it all by yourself and you're going to be a champion. It's about learning how to embrace other people as well as yourself.
Yeah, I think when you find your strength within, part of that is actually accepting the strength from others as well.
Yes, and I've always been a hermit, and I've had my small, tiny group of friends, and I'd always joke, like, yeah, I don't have any friends, I have like 2 friends. And I love thinking about that now, because I didn't know how to be a friend the way I was. I was a terrible friend. If I got mad at you, like, later, I don't want to deal with you. And it's so incredible at so many aspects of my life that I never expected. The personal development has completely opened up for me and completely changed my mindset on. It's not just with work. It's not just with my health. Like I said, it's with friends. If I hadn't opened up to aspects like that, I wouldn't have had the friends that come into my life and be there to tell me things like, Katie, it's your body, it's trying to talk to you. And that's my core, that's my health, that's my entire well-being. And it's allowing that advice and those words from someone else, from a true friend, that completely intermingle with everything else that I've been learning. It's truly something that is incredible in your entire life. It's not just one area that it's going to make an impact on. And personal development for me has become something that I'm learning isn't just about, my goals and my aspirations. It's about just my being, just like my physical health.
Your core.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfectly said. It's something that I'm developing areas with, instead of trying to figure out why I am the way I am, my body has to be this way. I'm developing in different areas of how I can cope with it and how I can help my body as opposed to work against it. Our diets are a huge deal. After 7 years of being told that I needed to look into my diet, I needed to be on a diet plan, I needed to really look at what I was eating and how it affects me. Until I understood what personal development was, I thought that was the dumbest idea ever. I was not going to give up anything that I've been eating my entire life, even if it made me feel like crap and I knew it. Now I feel strong enough, and I feel like I'm excited to do things like that. I'm excited to see what I can and can't eat now, and what makes me feel really bad and what doesn't. Like,
yeah,
I would have never been able to do that before.
I think that's a huge part of the journey. That's for a lot of people, where we don't like being told something, or sometimes you just have to hear it from someone else for it to click. Like,
right.
Things I've heard 1,000 times, but someone else said it one different way, and then it totally clicked for me. And it's about exploring and finding those ways that really, really feel good and work for you, and honoring the fact that wherever we were in the past, maybe we just weren't quite there yet. Like how you said, for 7 years, people have told you that, but you just weren't quite there yet on your journey, and you hadn't clicked into that yet, but now you have. So it's moving forward with that on your journey and embracing it. And like you said earlier in this recording as well, is that it just never stops. You keep growing, changing, and like there is no end destination. Like we're living the destination.
Yes, exactly. Living is the goal. Enjoying is the goal. We're not on this earth to just breathe and die. I mean, what's the point of that?
Yeah, this has been so powerful. I just love your story. I've got goosebumps.
I'm so nervous. Like I feel like, oh my god. I'm so nervous.
This is so good. There's so much value. I'm just grabbing my phone here. There's been heaps of people hopping in and saying hi. So hi to everyone that's been hopping on and that's on right now. If anyone has any questions for us before we wrap this up, let us know in the comments. But everyone is definitely encouraged to stay in touch with Catie. You can add her up on Facebook. I'll put her link up in the comments here. And then this recording is also going onto our YouTube channel as well as onto iTunes for the podcast. You can always listen to the replay this way if you're wanting to catch the replay or share it with someone else. But I'm so blessed that you were able to come on today and just share your journey with us, because I feel that everyone has their own journey. And even though we connect with people, maybe there's similarities as in personal growth and overcoming obstacles. Everyone has their own journey and their own wisdom that they have come up with that it's going to resonate with others. And it's really about attracting your tribe. Like you said, you were feeling alone, and I felt like that before, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of a lot of friends, or I just couldn't attract friends that really got me. And since then, it's just crazy the amount of amazing women, amazing men that I have in my life that I can really connect to on a deeper level, and they listen to listen and not just to respond. And it's all about providing value and love and going a little bit beyond, just being on our phones or, talking about things that just don't really matter to us in surface level and just going deeper. So I love that you mentioned that on this call as well, because everyone has a tribe. It's just a matter of making sure you take the action to go out there and find them, because I can guarantee you that there are people out there that can relate to you, that can share knowledge with you, and that are going to support you. And I absolutely love the fact that you have found that. I love that we've connected and that we can support each other's tribe as well and inspire other people on their journey as well. Because
I truly hope that even if it's just one person, I hope that maybe I help them in some way. And I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep learning. And I'm excited to do it. And it's just like you said, it's get to know people. Yeah. It's something that so many people don't want to do. And we're in a society now where everything is on social media, and half of the world is saying, get off your phone. And the other half is saying, oh my God, you need to talk to more people. And it's not always about, like you said, it's not always about the surface level. And if it weren't for social media, I wouldn't have connected with you, and I wouldn't have had this opportunity to, for the first time, talk about my journey. It's something that I'm finally putting out into the world, and I've always wanted to do that, but I never felt like I was capable of doing it until now. And because we connected together, I was able to truly put it into the world, and it's phenomenal. It really is. I couldn't be more thankful for this experience.
Yes, and I know you won't stop, but don't stop. Just keep sharing your message and just keep putting yourself out there. And as you grow on your journey, and there's so many people that are in pain right now. There's chronic pain, there's chronic illness. If people are in pain, people are struggling, and a lot of people feel alone, and a lot of people feel really disempowered and stuck, and they're looking to others to empower them. But what I think is cool is when we can share that message with them, that they can actually go within and they can find that within themselves. And then when you can find a tribe of people to support you, that's going to really amplify things for you on your journey of listening to your body and finding happiness and really finding your strength.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, we've got a few people that just are hopping on now and saying hi. So hello to everyone. Thank you so much for coming on today, Catie.
So thank you for having me. This is the first time experience for me, and it's fantastic. I'm so blessed to have been able to do this.
It won't be the last, I'm sure.
Yes. Bring me back on.
With this, and wish you and everyone everyone else an amazing, amazing weekend. Let us know in the comments. We're still happy to answer questions over Messenger and such after this if you are catching the replay. And yeah, I'll definitely link Catie up so you can stay in touch with her. Yeah.
Any questions? Any just want to talk? Just come to me. I'm always an open ear, and I'm always willing to talk about anything. I'm a talker. I will ramble all day. I love it.
I love it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catie, again, and we will chat.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.